Very good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Thank you very much, Patrick, and it's a pleasure to be here on Power FM and Dstv, and I hope we're going to have an interactive program.
Indeed, indeed. Joined by Fortrace, as usual, on Voice of the People. Good morning to you. Mr. Mark, let's get right into it. The elephant in the room, the story that's trending big out there, Zamsa scandal, 16 million, theft of essential drugs, and so many issues surrounding the health sector in Zambia. What is the UPND government doing to address this issue?
Thank you very much, Patrick. To start with, you are aware that Zambia's trajectory in the fight against corruption has improved. To start with, it has improved under Transparency International Zambia ranking. We improved by about 4 points, having an all-high performance. How did we get there? There are a number of reforms that have been undertaken. The first one being the establishment of the fast-track court, the Economic and Financial Crimes Court. Secondly, the idea of reducing certain rigidities in the procurement process, which is making it easy for government to even detect, in some cases, the crime before it's committed, or in some cases after it has been committed, and government to take measures to ensure that such a situation is kept. You may wish to understand that this issue of ZAMSA is not a new thing. Government sometime last year did announce they are the ones who first, in fact, the minister himself had to raise alarm. He raised alarm. The members of the public were not going to know if government never told you that this is what was happening. You are not going to know if government did not arrest workers there. First of all, if the government did not suspend them, you could have been in darkness. So you were able to know because government detected something unusual. And when that was detected, measures were put in place, stakeholders were brought on board to see how matters could be dealt with. As you and I are speaking, perpetrators are appearing in court. They have been arrested.
Mr. Simuuwe, before I maybe just ask a question with regards to what you've said, there's an impression, there's an impression that the arrests are cosmetic. The people that are actually overcharging by the tune of 1,600% to procure drugs are not being arrested. What say you?
No, that is an assumption. It's not factual. We need to separate.
But the audit report states that people are overpricing.
No, you have asked a question that there's an impression that the arrests are cosmetic. And I'm saying we need to separate assumptions from facts. First of all, we need to agree that people have been arrested. After we've agreed that they've been arrested, we need now to get to those that believe that an arrest can be cosmetic, where an offense has been committed. I'm sure you are aware that you can never have a cosmetic arrest because it goes on record. You would only make a conclusion after justice has reigned. The justice system that we have is in such a manner that everyone is presumed innocent until they are proven guilty. So even if Patrick today was arrested, even if people said it is cosmetic, the justice system and the wheels of justice to still proceed. And under the circumstances, I wish to mention to you that the Auditor General's office is a government institution. That's why if government so wished, they have the capacity to manipulate records. But what will government do so that people don't start pointing fingers that one has been fired because of this? Government is showing you that look at what we have found, so that tomorrow if people are made to leave the office, people do not say there is cleansing going on in public office. People are losing jobs because they have committed offenses. Then we can unanimously be agreed because those are public funds. Now, let me also mention, my brother, that unlike where we're coming from, where we could raise red flags, perpetrators were not being arrested. You could talk about supply of expired medicine. People were just staring at things. No one was taking a decision. The difference that we have scored today is that you have enforcement agencies that are responsive to the anomalies that are being discovered in the Auditor General's report. And this should give us consolation as a country that then those institutions that have been given prosecutorial jurisdiction can move in and ensure that the record is made straight. The essence of having law in society, part of it is retribution. And also to deter would-be offenders by punishing the offenders that have been convicted. So under the circumstances, we have people that have been picked. We would be more worried if no one has been picked. And then medicine just disappears, as the case was, where you could have 3 million disappearing from a government account without any paper trail. If people have been arrested, then that should be consolation enough for the people of Zambia.
How do we move forward on this issue of the Auditor General's report?
Moving forward is that when the Auditor General's report has been published, there are law enforcement agencies such as DEC and the AACC who come in. And they don't just pick a report and arrest Patrick. They now, based on the skills that they possess, go to investigate based on the facts against what is on the ground. Then that is why they take time. One of the things for a very long time that many of us proposed have to do with giving the Auditor General's office prosecutorial jurisdiction. The challenge is that it's a whistleblower and it ends at whistleblowing. And the way the report is done, if, for example, Fortrace is given 100,000 and then she is told you need to advertise, and then you shortlist. After shortlisting, interview those that qualify, and after you've interviewed, get two. What does she do? She advertises, she doesn't shortlist. Then you hear that someone has been awarded something. Okay? So what the Auditor General's report will do is to just raise that anomaly, that this is what has happened. It will now be up to Fortrace to prove and say, no, you didn't capture the record straight as in the report. These people were actually shortlisted. Where did you advertise that? Yes, we advertised in the mass. Can we see the report? Then Fortrace has to prove and say, yes, the report at all. Then according to our report, in the Auditor General's report, you are innocent, or you have been convicted. So the report will bring out what they consider to be anomalies, to allow law enforcement agencies to come on board and look at whether there is crime committed. I should also mention that when medicine, in this case, has gone missing, obviously there are bias, meaning the Auditor General's report has limitations. Sometimes they may not give you the whole lot of who bought it. They may say this one is the one who bought it. It went into this country by this company. The people behind it, they will not tell you. So law enforcement agencies are the ones that have the mandate to get a court order and go to other institutions like PACRA to understand the company who owns it, so that they can know the right people to capture. The Auditor General's report ends at an institution because they don't investigate. They only get records. When they come to Power TV, they will just ask for account books, that's all. And then based on account books, they'll give information. Who did it is a title. How many people were their accomplices? Was this conspiracy? Law enforcement agencies must establish. So you discover that it may go beyond the people that you have been reportedly arrested. You discover that there could be many other people that may come on board after law enforcement agencies have come in. Because the understanding of white-collar corruption is that it can never be done unilaterally. Usually it is a syndicate. And because it's a syndicate, this is why law enforcement agencies are very important. Yeah, so we'll get there.
Well, you did earlier on mention that the UPND is very adamant about fighting corruption. And not too long ago, the U.S. ambassador cited corruption charges, and that's what led to the 50% aid cut.
The U.S. ambassador was trying to catch fish that was on bare land. I mentioned to you that government had already done everything and people were already arrested. The U.S. ambassador was not even a whistleblower. He was a commentator. A whistleblower is one who brings out information that is not known to the public. In other words, he was talking about what was already done. And the background for his tantrums are known. We cannot preempt everything. But he misbehaved because he actually breached diplomatic etiquette. From the party standpoint, he misbehaved. And he's lucky. We should have gone to protest at the U.S. Embassy because we can't allow diplomats to behave like that way. Okay? When they have the ambassadors world over have access to the head of state and institutions. It doesn't matter whether money came from them. The very fact that they are giving us money does not give them the guarantee to insult us. It doesn't. China gives us money, JICA gives us money, other institutions give us money. When they want to withdraw, they have to withdraw on principle. So, from our end, from the political standpoint, we would want to say what government cannot say, that was a diplomatic blunder. And there is no excuse for that. It undermines Zambia's sovereignty. Because in Zambia, there is presumption of innocence. Even when people have been arrested, including a person who holds the bloom, they have the right to defend themselves under Article 18 of the Constitution of Zambia. Even if you caught me red-handed, Zambia's justice system allows you to defend yourself. So, certain statements will put undue pressure on certain institutions and individuals. You are aware that there are people that have been arrested before and they have been, freed. We had, for example, Vinda was arrested for being in possession of certain things properties perceived to be a process of crime. He won the case. So, our understanding is that the U.S. ambassador was not a whistleblower, he was a commentator. So was it necessary for him to be a commentator? That is his democratic right, but we need to separate diplomatic issues from. And from what we picked, he had no blessings from White House.
Let's quickly switch gears, if you will, Mr. Simuuwe. Let's talk about the now, I would say, post-Bill 7. Do you regret that the Constitutional Amendment Bill 7 was rejected by various stakeholders? And also, what's your take on the pronouncement by the Concord? Or the position by the Concord?
So when you say it was rejected by various stakeholders, of course there are also stakeholders that accepted it.
Indeed.
And they believe it's appropriate. The President had to take responsibility by engaging those that were disagreed to the proposition. Mm-hmm. I was in that meeting. The Law Association of Zambia was there. CSOs.
I think the majority of civil society organizations.
Rola Miti, many others. Right. Gears, the consortium led by Isaac Mwanza was there. Mm-hmm. They are the ones who proposed, not the President. I want to put it on record. They are the ones who proposed that. We propose that this be deferred. Not the President. State House wanted to hear their views. You are opposed, you are all over, you've sponsored programs. What is the problem? I'm sure Power FM must have been transmitting one debate I had with Jonas Zimba and Malice. Yes. There was a proposal. Then CSOs themselves, not the President, told the President, Mr. President, is it possible that we can defer this? Then the President said, well, why do you think we should defer it? They presented their case and what they considered to be gaps. Mm-hmm. Then the President said, look, lawmaking is not a matter of life and death. It must, of course, be based on consensus. It must represent the aspirations of different people. And the President said, I have heard what you have said. We will get back to you. As I'm speaking to you, the Law Association of Zambia wrote the secretary to the cabinet before the judgment of the court. Mm-hmm. They wrote a letter to the secretary to the cabinet proposing names. In other words, the meeting at State House ended with CSOs recommending names of people to sit in what they were proposing as well. Because they were proposing that why don't we have a certain committee so that those what we perceive to be some gray, we can deal with those key issues that we are raising. Mm-hmm. And then afterwards, you can now consider bringing it back to Parliament. But in the meantime, because Mr. President, we understand you still have another session of the Parliament. Mm-hmm. So, we plead with you that defer it. Not him.
So, the Law Association of Zambia has sued Speaker of the National Assembly, Nelly Muti, overruling of the deferment of the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 7.
I'll deal with that. I haven't finished answering the question. Now, that is one part. So we are agreed. The CSOs proposed to the President and the President listened. Mm-hmm. Even if the President is being the one now being looked at as bad, the President is the one that is being mocked, and people believe he's the one that instigated the idea of deferring. As far as the State House was concerned, they were determined to proceed. They were determined to proceed because there is no law that was broken. Coming to the second one of the Constitutional Court, the Constitutional Court did not say the law was breached. The Constitutional Court, basically, if you have read the judgment, said the pre-bill stage should have been more consultative. But no law has been broken.
So there is no issue of impeachment or resignation as alleged by some opposition leaders.
You can read the judgment over and over. No law has been broken. I've seen people citing clauses. There's no law that has been broken. In other words, the document was properly before the legislature because Article 79, which on the side notes talks of alteration of the Constitution, it says it's Parliament. Who else? It does not say John. And mind you, the referendum clause from constitution making was removed from the Constitution. I want you to underline. The referendum clause from constitution making was removed from the Constitution in 1969. In other words, you don't need to consult citizens to make a law. That's why as you and I are speaking, we have already passed over 90 acts of parliament with over 500 statutory instruments. No one was consulted. In other words, the only time at all cost you must ask citizens is when you are dealing with the Bill of Rights. KK removed the idea of rigidities to amend the Constitution. Because before 1969, for you to amend the Constitution, it was a must, it was constitutional that you needed to consult citizens, and over 50% of those that are eligible to vote needed to agree. But not anymore. That clause was removed. But when you hear the arguments of our colleagues, you'd think that clause is in the Constitution. It's not there, my brother. And I've been challenging them. Show me where it says Article 61 of the Constitution provides that legislative powers are derived from the people. But the next article, 62, it says vested in the National Assembly, Parliament. Who vests? It's the people of Zambia. How? It is their constitution. They say, we the people of Zambia. Democracy can be looked at in terms of representation in twofold: representative democracy and direct democracy. Mr.
Simuuwe, just to quickly touch on the issue that for
she was raising an issue.
Yes,
now.
yes.
What was the issue?
The last suing the speaker with regards to the deferment of
It is within their constitutional right if they feel that they need judicial review. But when you sue, it does not mean you've won the case. Laws has lost so many cases, even against individuals. So many cases, even those that border on human rights. Laz is as a legal person as yourself. You get it? Now, the argument of the speaker is that separation of powers, because they're the ones who are talking about separation of powers. What the speaker is saying is that the court should not interfere with what is on there. Here is the problem. Here is the problem. The problem is here. The document has been deferred, not so. It has not been withdrawn. For example, the court cannot withdraw a document from the floor of Parliament. Remember, judges are ratified by the same house, Parliament. They are the ones who say, yes, we agree that this one should be a judge. That is how Parliament checks the judiciary. The doctrine of the principle of
separation,
checks and balances. They check on each other. So, it is within their right, if they are aggrieved, because they know that the only ones who can check Parliament is the judiciary. So they've gone to check. So the judiciary may also rule and say, we do not have power. Parliament has its own rules. That's why those people in Parliament, when they're debating, they are immune there. Not even the judiciary can touch them inside there. They have immunity. Okay? They have even their own rules, standing orders, which do not apply to citizens. So we wait for the court to make a ruling.
Awesome. This is Voice of the People on Power FM 91.3, also live on Dstv on Topstar Channel 92. Our guest this morning is Mr. Mark Simuuwe, who is the UPND Media Director. We'll be soon opening up the phone lines. The numbers to call 0979-192-485 or 0955-997-997. Let's quickly move on to another issue that's making headlines of late, the issue of mining and illegal mining and whatnot. What is your current assessment? What has led us to this point where we have thousands of our youth that are desperate for, bread and butter or a little bit of money, but are failing to properly engage with the stakeholders and the powers that be to find, a win-win solution? What's the way forward?
The moment you say illegal, it means it is unlawful. You call it illegal mining. Let us say Zambians are hungry, okay? And now that they are hungry, let us allow all of them to pounce on ShopRite and Pick and Pay and just collect food. That's what we are doing in the mining sector.
We can't do that.
Now, I've deliberately thrown you into that. That is what we are doing. What am I trying to say? The fact that people are hungry does not mean they should get food illegally. That's what I'm trying to say, Patrick. The fact that citizens are hungry does not mean they should go into ShopRite and Pick and Pay and start collecting food to eat. There is a law which requires them to buy. I've deliberately started from this trajectory to demonstrate that illegality is not a panacea to quenching hunger. We must first of all appreciate the fact that when you talk about the rule of law, we are basically saying this country has laws that should govern us. There are more than 20 acts of parliament that administer land in Zambia, and later on reduced to mining. You have the Minerals, Mines and Minerals Act, which deals with mining activities, the rules. You have a law which determines issues of surveying, exploration. You have a law under WAMA, because when you start conducting mining activities, you are obviously interfering with the water table. WAMA will come and issue a certificate that you can proceed. You will not contaminate the water table. There is also a law on wildlife. You remember the law Zambezi mining. So there will be all these laws that come in place. They are the ones that we use to govern this country. One of the things that government is saying is that, yes, citizens need to mine, but they should do it correctly. The way perhaps it was done under Black Mountain. They are saying, we can give them licenses. They form cooperatives because they could be scrambling for something very small. Then they conduct the activity under safety guidelines. Because then, if you look at the mine, Mopan itself, Patrick, and KCM, you discover that before they start conducting mining activities, they have people that have studied safety regulations. And they make sure that before miners move to the site, they have to certify the area safe for mining. Then they'll have the appropriate machinery or equipment to use for mining. Where there is danger being detected, they will notify the miners accordingly. The type of mining our brothers and sisters have been engaging in has been unsafe. God forbid, we have ended up losing life. When we were just trying to consume the debate for Mufumbwe, 3 other lives were lost in Mumbwa. And those people that were saying allow the youth to go ahead and mine disappeared. They didn't want to talk about Mumbwa. Then government came back and said, look, this is what we're trying to avoid. Life has been lost in Mumbwa. There was no police there. Miners themselves have killed themselves. They've killed each other because they don't want to listen. There are also unannounced numbers of people who have lost lives in Mfumbwe. I think sooner or later government will announce. As I'm talking to you, my brother, in Chingola, where those over 30 souls were buried, up to date, not all of the bodies have been retrieved. Government is still, at a very high cost, is still looking for dead bodies. It is the same place a few meters away where those protesters in Chingola wanted to go. And me coming from the Copper Belt, understanding that Jerabo mentality, because anyone who has grown up there has done that kind of business before. I understand, because some of them called me and I spoke to them. One of them called me, then I told him that, oh boy, you and me know that you don't conduct that activity in the rain season. What? So Zambians don't know that you can't conduct that in the rain season. In rain season, they stop. They wanted to go there during the protest in rain season. But a person like me understood. And they put me on loud and they kept quiet. I said, but you don't conduct that in rain season. But why are you going there in the rain season? If you feel but at least but to pay for assurance that no, but you went there. So, the moment you say illegal mining, you have concluded the conversation. We have to ask ourselves if we have to allow illegality. And if we allow illegality because you are citing hunger, then let us allow citizens who are hungry to go into these shops and start eating other people's food without buying. Because that's the same narrative. The very fact that people are hungry in every country does not mean that they should do illegal things. There is no country in the world that allows that. Look at the situation there. Who are the buyers? They are foreigners, not so. Are they getting that particular purchase legally? No. Government is not collecting taxes from those buyers. They will come park their machinery there, armed with military weapons, and certified by the authorities. Allowing what is happening there is what has created chaos in other countries. There are some countries, without mentioning names, have lost partly their sovereignty.
Sorry to cut you off short, Mr. Simuuwe. So some sections of society do feel that these mines now, as we move forward with regards to curbing illegal mining, they need to be run by our own very own Zambians.
It depends. What law are they using in the first place? When you liberalize the economy, what law are you using? So they are merely dreaming. Let us contextualize things.
Does it mean that it can only be run by foreign entities?
We have 112 certificates, artisanal mining licenses, which were given by the government to Zambians. So that question falls off. 5 licenses for the first time, gold licenses, were given to youths in Mumbuga, meaning the question falls off. In other words, if we had close to 500 licenses owned by Zambians, issued by the Ministry of Mines, it explains it, then the question falls off. And they are unutilized. What Zambians are doing now, my brother, these who have been given mining licenses, they are selling mining licenses. Ask the Minister of Mines, you tell you how many mines have been sold. After giving the mining licenses, they are selling them.
To Zambians or to foreigners?
To foreigners. Zambians are going as far as Dubai. They will purchase tickets for them and China. They are selling mines. Some of them will start in the name of partnerships. And the president is saying we are encouraging, because if those are incapacitated and they don't have the capacity to conduct mining activities, let us allow them to partner. That is a good thing to do.
And one thing they are talking about is how they don't have the utilities to mine.
Now, I'll be very frank with you. When these people are applying, do you know what they do? Part of the things that you qualify on is to demonstrate that you can do mining. So when they apply, they will say, no, just give us, we will know what to do. After giving them, then they fail. They will stay for 5 years with a mining license without using it. Now, we really need to be very frank with each other. When they are applying, they are saying, no, just give us. We'll look for partners. We'll know what to do.
Does government have a criteria?
Government has a criteria. The criteria is that the government is conducting training in artisanal mining and doing it in a graduating manner. And that's why I gave you an example of 112 artisanal miners, and they're doing mining activities. Remember those miners that were protesting in Central Province, small-scale miners, when they were cut off by ZESCO during load shedding? It's one case in point where government gave them some licenses. Secondly, there are youths in Kitwe were giving licenses as cooperatives so that they could get part of the slag, commonly known as Black Mountain. They conducted activities quietly, they finished, and they are quiet. So, meaning government has demonstrated that we can do it, and that's what government is proposing. They are saying, let us do it smartly. we account, we also know how much can go to the people of Zambia. Because it's an obligation by law that we need to meet statutory obligations. When you're running a business, there is tax, turnover tax, there are all those things. Government wants to follow up on such. And what we are saying is that for countries that have developed based on the resource they have, it's because they have managed to put in place a mechanism for getting taxes. Now, we want to say, can we make or enrich ourselves? We are only enriching individuals who are going there. We can't even account for. If the country has to improve, if the country has to be rich, the country's economy has to grow, there must be accountability of the nation's resources. And how do you account for them? You have the law in place. You have to regulate. Government will go on the podium to advertise Zambia. They must indicate how many miners we have. They cannot be saying we have 1,000 miners. Out of 1,700 are illegal miners. And then only 300 are mining illegally. If we want those that are running mines to pay the right taxes at KCM, Lumwana, Mopani, and Kalumbila, we should demonstrate as well as citizens that when given an opportunity, perhaps that explains why at the end of the day other people may be more preferable, because they will pay taxes. When the investor came in Mfurira, within 2 months of their investment, they had already contributed over 250 million kwacha. And they paid the local authorities in Kitwe 87 million, which they used to clear retirees in Kitwe. And they also cleared suppliers who were not paid in the previous government, in the mines. You heard that. Tell me how many of those have been paid by legal miners? Nothing. Tell me how many legal miners have made millions and how much they have made. No one will know. And you will never know. Is that the kind of environment you want to have? I don't think so.
Just quickly, in a few words, Mr. Simuuwe, if you may. So what's the way forward? What is the Ministry of Mines doing to make this situation normal?
First of all, you've heard the Minister of Mines has been talking, has been having a lot of stakeholder meetings, and you had the Minister of Mines go to the copper belt, to the mining areas to explain to the people so that they understand what goes on. And I should make it very clear to you, my brother, that it's not that those miners do not know the right way to do things.
The proper channels.
Because they do. And what is happening is that you have so many youths who have gold now, but they don't have where to sell. Right now, as I'm talking to you, one of them even made a mistake and they called me. Said, no, please, I have my 50 kg. But you have papers. Go to Bank of Zambia. Now, you are not doing business. You're not helping yourself. Because you have an institution, cadastre, which will make sure that you are certified to do trading in precious stones. Then government is getting their taxes so that they can finance free education sustainably, so that they can increase on CDF. Our brothers and sisters that are doing nothing can get empowerment, because now we need to increase on the empowerment and the allocation towards CDF so that as many citizens as possible can be captured in the process and be given the much needed empowerment, which we can actually take care of and monitor.
We'll talk a little bit more about CDF. Yeah. Let's open up the phone line, 0979-192-485, 0955-997-997. If you have a question for Mr. Simuuwe, you can come through. He's the UPND Media Director in the studio this morning on Voice of the People. That's 0979-192-485. Good morning to you. You're through the Voice of the People. Good morning. Good morning. You're through the Voice of the People. Okay, we seem to have a bad line there.
All right, you can come to the numbers are 0979-192-485 or 0955-997-997. We are live on Dstv channel 922. Now, moving forward, Mr. Simuuwe, do you believe that the UPND government has demonstrated enough progress and achievements to merit re-election for another term as we head to the polls next year in 2026?
Now, first of all, before we talk about it, because when you ask me such a very good question, we have to go to the manifesto. Okay? Because it is the ticket we used. We used to attract citizens that we had a solution to the challenges the country was faced with. So I want us to tick a few things. And then we now separate those achievements from the challenges which are still there. And now I state how we intend to address the remaining challenges.
Okay.
Number one, we told the people of Zambia, that when you give us the mandate to run the country, we shall introduce free education. Because it doesn't make sense for my mother in Kaputa, who does not do anything and she's hit by a drought, to be asked to pay for her child to go to school. We have achieved, we tick. We went to the copper belt and told the miners in Mufurira and told them that, look, you have been retrenched. Give us an opportunity. We shall revamp the mining sector and bring back Mopani. We have achieved, we have ticked.
Hello?
And we have seen over 1,500 workers are coming back there.
Sorry to cut you off short. I think we have a caller on the line. Hello, it's to the Power Breakfast.
So I've talked about free education, I've talked about mining. We found that there was employment freeze. There was employment freeze. In other words, government stopped employing. They were only making replacements. We told the youth across the country that give the UPND the mandate to run the country. We shall lift this employment freeze and create jobs. And they were asking, where will they come from? They're just dreaming. And we have achieved. Today, as we are speaking, we are recruiting thousands of youths.
Okay. We do have a caller on the line. Hello, it's you to the Power Breakfast.
Hello.
Hello, good morning. It's you to the Power Breakfast. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Yes. It was Monica Tinga. Why?
Kindly go ahead with your question, sir. Kindly go ahead with your question or contribution.
Yeah, jina yanga ndine Ivansi tumla kwata zanga. Mark Simuuwe mwakapwa?
Taukabwena bwanja sokoleli.
Yes. Question yanga nyakuti Mark Simuuwe ile niti ngapo ya kuchani ya kumaini kwa mene kwa plant kulumwami kuchani kwa mene.
Go ahead.
Hapa simbe kamushi.
Kaman timvenan.
Hapa pambe kabwa.
Kaman timvenan.
Ni kamba ya mene wa kamba ya iligo mining kwa mene kumufumbo huko. Ni kamba kuti wa Mark Simuuwe, who is to blame between those people wamene wenzo chitama mine na imo wamene wa government, who is to blame? Because as far as I'm concerned, because there were many people, if they were the problem of them, but they were people from different parts of the country. And there were many, which means you haven't provided the family events of Unikira. Because even if you are posting to say, no, we have employed my teachers, but you haven't catered the numbers which are required. We are not teachers, we are not doctors. So for you, your government, the CDF on paper, that's a clear indication which shows that CDF is on paper. Because if it was not on paper, then they not catering awards at the become illegal mining. So you are bringing in them cutting my illegal miners, but you haven't provided what is required. So the blame is on you, whether you like it or not. Find something to provide, because you promised them.
Many thanks for your call. Thanks for your contribution. 0979-192-485-0955-997-997. If you do have a question or contribution for Mr. Simuuwe, you can come through. Good morning. You're through the Power Breakfast. Good morning. Good morning. You're through the Voice of the People.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Your names and where are you calling from, sir?
This is Mr. Mtale. I'm calling from the Makeni area.
Mr. Mtale from Makeni, please go ahead with your question or contribution.
I was listening to the media director, and he was outlining the achievements of the UPND. And that's that he was cut short by a caller. He started first with free education. Where I come from, I live on a farm. My farm worker has children who go to a school in Kanyama. In a classroom, there are 125 pupils because of this system free education. Now, is that education really? Is that something to boast about? The UPND leaders, their kids go to Nkwazi, Road Park, St. Mary's. They don't go to these overpopulated government schools. I'm sure even where he is the media director there, let him tell us if he has one child at a government school, and let him mention the school, and I will verify that. None of them take their kids to these overcrowded schools which have teachers who are overwhelmed and they don't even offer education. So there's nothing to boast about there. Secondly, the UPND promised an end to load shedding. Here in Makeni, load shedding is the order of the day. It has not ended. The UPND promised medicine in hospitals. I go to Kanyama level 1 hospitals. You even buy basic medication. They give you a prescription. The constitutional making process is not even a matter I want to really go there, because it has been a total sham by this government. So for him to sit there, I would like him to address those issues that I've highlighted here. For him to sit there and claim that the UPND government has done well is shocking.
Mr. Mtale, many thanks for your call. Mr. Simuuwe, we'll allow you to respond to that, and those will be your final remarks, because unfortunately we are out of time. So maybe you can address some of the points that were raised by our two callers.
Let me start with Mutale. Mutale starts with, I've only outlined it also.
Yes, yes indeed.
So he promised people free education. Mutale, I want to continue in answering your question. Free education, done. So you're saying there are 125 pupils. Is that education? Yes. We are well coordinated. We found about 117,000 teachers in the country. Today, as we speak, we have more than 156,000 teachers. In barely 3 years, we have recruited about 42,000 teachers. Vamutale, there is no such a record in any country under the sun which was created by God. It's only found in Zambia. Then you are saying there are 125 people. This is better than having children that have never been to school at all. They will be able to speak English. They will be able to complete grade 12, and they will go for ZAF. They will go for immigration. They will go for police. At your time, they would never. We are trying to bring in economic emancipation. This is better, because then when you have a grade 12 certificate, they can even be counselors. Because even those that are in politics, things have changed. They need qualifications, a minimum of a grade 12 certificate. You are not a beneficiary of free education. That's why you are making noise. Those who are beneficiaries of free education will tell you free education is very helpful, and they are happy.
But what do you do to decongest? Maybe you can just add on that.
To decongest, this is where I'm getting to. Because we have a framework of development. On one hand, we've pronounced free education. We know that the numbers have gone up by 2 million. That's why we are recruiting in thousands, my brother, which has never happened in the history of this country. Every year we are recruiting thousands. Your only country, the whole Southern Africa. Secondly, that is why under CDF we are constructing classroom blocks. These are coordinated programs, Bamtale. In case you are looking at things in a lopsided manner, you're only looking at the congested classroom. I'm telling you that from employment freeze, we are recruiting thousands of teachers. Secondly, we have so far constructed over 1,500 classroom blocks across the country. Let me get to the issues that you raised. So this is better off. Medicine in Kanyama. When UPND came into leadership, work with numbers, we found that the purchase of medicine and medical supplies was at 30%. In 2022, we moved to 53%. The WHO threshold is 70%. Today, as we speak, it's above 70%. So what are the circumstances there? Here are the circumstances I want you to understand. What the NEMA Act has done is that when you go to an institution, I want you to understand what is going on. Government is paying, okay? You get a prescription. You have a NEMA. You can go to any NEMA registered pharmacy and you collect medicine. The people that seem to be maybe having challenges, perhaps are those that may not be on NEMA. Have to be those that are on NEMA are having access to it, because they'll get a prescription. And I want to be very categorical also. Let me take this opportunity, Patrick, to explain, because this is information that is important for those that are listening, including Mutale. In Zambia, the health institutions are hierarchical. What do I mean? We have the health post. Health post provides first aid medicine or services. You will not find a surgeon there. You will not find a pediatrician there. You will not find a medical doctor there. You will find nurses, at the very best maybe a clinical officer. And sometimes not even a clinic officer, because it's not a specialized hospital. It provides first aid. When you are injured, you find bandages there. So when they start supplying these, they will supply first aid kits only to a health post. Then you have a level 1. You find it will not have all the specialized. You find the kit and attention changes. You find maybe level 1 hospital, you have a surgeon who can operate on you when you are injured. You find a physiotherapist. Okay? But not all of them. It's it's level 1. So we have specialized hospitals in Zambia. And which are those? Levi Mwanawasa, the National Heart Disease Hospital, the Cancer Hospital, UTH Pediatrics. I'm sure you've seen where they take children there. At a health, where you are in Kanyama, you will not find at a health post department or a clinic for pediatrics. So when you take your child, or let me say, you take a child or your child, a lady who has a problem of gynecology, who has a problem of private parts, at a clinic, the health post, they will just give you painkillers and refer you to a specialized hospital. Not that it is useless to have a health post, but because that is how our health system is designed. And why is it designed like that? Almost world over, the health sector is designed that way. That is why there are ambulances. They were put in order to achieve that particular hierarchy I'm trying to explain. That is why they are what? Ambulances. In USA, you find them. They have the same formula. A particular clinic will not have specialized treatment, so they will put an ambulance there. When the situation becomes acute, they will drive you to. So, Bamutale, you will not understand certain things until you know how our health system is structured. Now, let me quickly get to the next one so that we allow other callers to come.
Yes.
There's another one that you talked about.
Load shedding.
This is load shedding.
Yeah.
UPND never promised you a drought. There are certain things that are beyond human imagination. For example, this drought is the worst in the history of this country. The last time we almost came close to this in 1993. You saw the government declaring it as a disaster. If you want to prove that this is real, go and look at the farmers. That is why there was a supplementary budget. It is a question that came from the opposition members of parliament. What is government doing amid this drought? The president said no one is going to die. People murmured. And we never recorded death. Government had a supplementary budget about 42 billion also. About 8 billion went to emergency social gas transfer. We increased on the number of beneficiaries. We also got some money, went under DMMU. They went flat out distributing food. They started also packaging under FRA in small packets so that these people could access. Then government had to bring in remedial measures. That's how a functional system operates. They had to earmark 17,000 farmers to help them with irrigation equipments. We were just overtaken by the drought, my brother. These are things that were already on the table for planning. Because in 2022, government released in the national budget 1 million to conduct farm block audit by ZNS. When it was done, as we speak today, ZNS is now harvesting winter maize. We have a bumper harvest projected to close to 10 million. And now, just Eastern Province alone has produced 535,000 metric tons. Kabwe over 500. So we have gotten there, meaning government agenda has been achieved. The president's explanation is that when we have as many people participating in farming, then the price of food stuff will go down. People said, hey, we can't all be farmers, but you should also understand that the population of Zambia is growing. You cannot rely on the same number of farmers. We need as many people as possible to come on board. That's how it works. So now, even when people said we cannot all be farmers, we want to thank citizens for the bumper harvest. They responded to the clarion call by the government.
So Simuuwe, let's see if we can get a couple of more calls. The producer has given us a couple of more minutes.
I haven't finished on load shedding.
On load shedding, back to load shedding. Quickly, if you may.
Yeah, so load shedding. What is going on is that Zambia uses about 1,700 megawatts at peak hour. Lusaka alone uses 600 megawatts. Are you aware that Botswana The whole country uses 500 megawatts. 500 megawatts. Now, we had a deficit of about 700 to 800. So what is the remedy to a drought? For a country that has 97% dependence on hydro-generated power, it is alternative source of energy. Is government responsive to that call? Yes, they are. What measures have they put in place? We found a limping ZESCO with a debt in Congole loan of over 1.6 billion US dollars. We've managed to dismantle the billion US dollars. It came to about 600 million. I should be sure you know that even Mamba Corridors was owed 500 million US dollars. We have dismantled that to allow Mamba Corridors to give us power again. That enabled Mamba Corridors to expand, and government has changed the rules. They've come up with what is called this idea of this Kiora to allow people like Patrick to even sell power to ZESCO. We have relaxed, yes, we have relaxed the laws and policies to allow for private sector competitors to generate power, to even import power and sell to ZESCO.
Can be your thought.
We are getting there. It is a matter of time. It is a matter of time, and soon the situation will be resolved. The Zambezi Water Authority announced that around August we are expecting to have relaxed hours, because they are calculating the volume of water contained there. Because our major supplier is Kariba, which is co-owned. They have to split Zimbabwe and Zambia. When I was in Zimbabwe, the time we met President Mnangagwa, one of the questions we were asked by our counterparts there was that we are worried.
Mr. Mark,
good morning. You're through the Voice of the People.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Your names and where you're calling from?
Thank you very much. Local Voice on the line here.
Please go ahead with your question or contribution.
Thank you very much. How are you, Mr. Mark Simuuwe, our director?
Fine, thank you, Local Voice. How are you, dear?
I'm okay.
It's good to have you this morning.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy. I don't even know where to start from. You have just hammered. You have quenuled. First of all, just imagine when you go to what happened to this Mfumbwe, when you allow that situations, are you aware that other countries have been having wars among themselves? Such behavior. How can you allow a situation whereby you find people with military guns? 5. Was it, surely, honestly speaking, you want that to continue? You want the Zambian citizen to continue going there and do the illegal mining? Then if you allow that, means you're having an irresponsible government. The UPND is very responsible government, cannot allow that kind of behavior. Even me, I'm interested, but I want to have gold so I can have more money. So you want all Zambia to go to Mfumu? Is it possible? That's why things are supposed to be done orderly. So this is a government of rule and order that need to be followed.
Okay.
When you look at the recruitment, we have seen the civil servants that have been recruited. There are so many. The PF were merely replacing. How can you recruit the nurses 1.5? You recruit the teachers 1.5. 1.5 in the population of 20 million people. So you see, these people were jokers. Those were not government. Those were jokers. This is now government which we have. We need to make sure that people appreciate. So for us to start gaining something fruits, this is the hard work that you see now. Things are now coming down. Fuel is now coming down. Food is coming down. Oh, that's hard work. So we need to work together to help this government to deliver to people's expectation. We are in peace now. You can go to the market with your regalia. No one will kill you or beat you up. So this is the country that we have been looking for. Otherwise,
thank you very much for coming through, sir.
Mr. Mark, thank you very much.
We do appreciate you. You can also come through. The number is 0979-192-485 or 0955-997-997. Or you can also go through to our social media platform, which is Power FM Zambia, and leave your comments there. Or you can come through, send us a text or send a voice note. The numbers are 0979-192-485 or 0955-997-997. Maybe you can just quickly touch on the illegal mining part.
Let me just go to the first caller on illegal mining.
Yes.
This we're calling, especially those that are aligned to PF, they should understand that PF sent soldiers in Mfumbwe at their time. And what was the justification? That we need to do the right thing. And that is what we are doing. So today they turn around and say, no, it's wrong, allow them. That's hypocrisy now. Then the first caller talked about CDF being on paper. He needs to understand, maybe he doesn't understand the term to be on paper. Well, something is just on paper, it means there's nothing going on. But if you can have every day Power TV even running it on the news, that you have already done Makish Road, expanded it from near the power station up to Great North Road using CDF, then it cannot be on paper. It has been actualized. 200,000 youths across the country have graduated from vocational training, skills training across the country in 3 years.
Sorry, we'll just have to cut you off short. Hello, it's you to the Power Breakfast.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Morning, thank you, madam.
Yes.
Kindly turn down the volume on your radio, sir.
Yeah, I'm following the debate there. By the way, good morning, Mr. Simuuwe.
Morning, sir.
Morning, thank you. It is a very difficult situation where I can say, yes, Mr. Simuuwe, you are trying all the best to defend the government in power, but my brother, to be honest with you, things are not all right. And no matter how you explain it, let me go straight to the issue of NEMA. My brother, the issue of NEMA is something you cannot even boast about as UPND. It is not working. Talk about CDF. CDF, yes, you as UPND, few of UPND people in the compound here are benefiting. No, and you cannot point at a person for the community out there who are benefiting from CDF. Then you mentioned a very important point of load shedding. To say UPND did not promise the Zambian people drought. And the UPND promised the Zambian people to say, in Dubai, you can survive in Dubai 15 years without rain, but there is the electricity throughout. But what we are experiencing, my brother, I think it is worse than what UPND talked about. UPND now is known to promise the good things, but doing the opposite. That is what we know UPND for us that now as Zambian people. My brother, I think you are trying your level best, but your best is not enough because you are sending the wrong thing. That is what I can say. UPND has literally failed. That's what I can say.
Many thanks for your contribution. We appreciate that. 0979192485 or 0955997997. So, Simuuwe, will allow you to quickly respond to that.
Thank you very much. Let me deal with the last caller who says UPND has failed by continuing on the trajectory to turn around what he's saying. It's not about defending. We found council workers owed between 7 to 15 months as salary arrears. We have cleared them. It's not a promise. We found that you had scrapped off student meal allowances at CBU and UNZA. We promised students, vote for UPND, we shall reinstate. We have reinstated and extended to all public universities for the first time. Charimbana has meal allowances. It's not a joke. We are not just defending the way you are talking yourselves. We promised youths that we shall be recruiting every year thousands. We are doing that every year. Immigration, we have brought order in the local government. Local government was finished. You put cadres there, Bakala Mbaba Kola, who had no qualifications. Lusaka City Council alone had about 112 workers there without qualifications. One of them moved from holding a broom to being director HR. Are you aware of that? 112 without qualifications. That's what you are doing. We have cleaned the system. Today you can see an advert in the paper looking for legal counsel for the councils. There is dignity, there is integrity. Councils have equipment now. You were paying 1.6 million. The president told you in the opposition that we'll be releasing $1 million per constituency. You said it's a lie. We have done it. Don't bury your head in the sand. It's very painful. If you compete with UPND, you will have BP. We promised you we shall revamp the mining sector. You killed KCM, you killed everything there. We have revamped them. In Rwansha was a ghost town. We told them we shall do the roads. We are doing them there. We are done with Masangano to Fisenge, Rwansha, into the interior. Shaft 28 in Rwansha is back. Mimbula mine, 3,000 workers. Mopani now, over 1,500 workers. Management has gone back. You retrenched over 20,000 citizens on the copper belt. They are back. The next thing that I want to talk about, health sector. You had employment freeze. Youths were moving on the street with papers. They had no hope of employment. Today, as we speak to you, over 18,000 citizens have been recruited as nurses, doctors, and so on and so forth. You will not catch us. The next thing that I want to talk about, farmers. When UPND took over leadership, 258,000 farmers for 2 years went unpaid. We cleared all of them. Today, you are hearing people taking maize to FRA and they are being paid. You're not hearing a noise. The country was in ICU. We found gun brandishing, cadres shedding blood. The president made it very clear. If you want to break the law, you are on your own. We brought sanity. The next thing you're saying, only a few UPND cadres. Are you not aware that there are by-elections that have been caused in Luapula, Northern Province, and UPND has recruited your own councillors as teachers and health workers? And that's why there are by-elections. In other words, you have a system that has integrity, that has dignity for mankind, regardless of your political affiliation, understanding that these political parties are mere clubs which we use to ascend to power. Your own people have been recruited. You heard Shimbaka Mwiri's children have been recruited. Others UPND. You must be very serious. In the Lusaka and Dollar dual carriageway, there is a period there. I don't want to mention the other name. Youths online, if you have seen, UPND are complaining. How come PF are still enjoying? Because the government is looking for people that qualify to do something. People that only need to be Zambians, regardless of their political affiliation. You have seen certain appointments by President HH, and people have posted, and an individual has been appointed in a PF regalia, and say, what is this? Who is asking? A UPND member.
Okay.
That's the kind of leadership that we have.
Let's quickly pick up a caller.
Yes.
As we wind up.
I wanted to get to Dubai. Okay. Yeah.
We will get there. Hello, it's Eat Power Breakfast.
Hello?
Yes, good morning. Go ahead. Your names and where you're calling from?
This is Munsanje, common known as wet, no sweat, no sweet.
Okay.
But guess him,
I'm okay, Mr. Musanje. How are you?
I'm good. Vambiri makamba kudara sima maipika yapya isema tuvukuja. Chenga kusikeni encourage. Go to the health sector and keep mankwara ya BP so that come 2026 makamopenda result uti 40,000 but tonse 300 zankai na maliro ya mbili mu country. Ishina ili zabwe za 40 mankwara ya BP mugure ngati mulibe mu country because wali super believer. ATH has done a lot of quenus. Everything is quenu. Thank you very much.
Yes, so we're talking about Dubai. Okay? Now, let me conclude that the caller, at his time, your friends, your fellow callers were running for their lives. They were shifting from place to place. Today, you can freely call and stay at your home. That's improvement we brought. We promised that no media house shall be closed for political reasons. We have achieved that. The journalists interviewing themselves know that some of the journalists, recruitment is real, have been given jobs. We are not joking. They're even asking that, how was that one recruited? I thought that journalist was pro-PF. That is your government in place. That's how they see things.
Mr. Mark.
Now, under ZESCO, Dubai, it is a disjointed submission on account of facts, because you have a ZESCO which had put cadres at their time on salaries. You remember that there were even some foreign nationals who started driving ZESCO vehicles. ZESCO was almost gone. We have recovered it. ZESCO was almost gone. You abandoned almost all the programs. The country was getting into a failed state. Do you know that 2-3 months before the elections, for government to pay salaries, they had to borrow money from NAPSA? You threw us into a debt trap and you told us we have no capacity to restructure the debt. We have achieved it. We are merely repairing everything, including some projects you started which you abandoned on the floor of Parliament. You even declared and said we are unable to continue with projects that have not exceeded 80% because we are debt choked. Out of the total amount of money collected by government, 50% was going towards debt servicing, 40% to salaries. Government was running on 10%. It's on record. Go online, you find it. Not anymore, my brother. We have brought sanity and we'll get there. We can tick as many projects as possible. I've told you, in the farming sector, we are ticking. As we are talking today, Zambia is now boasting of exporting batteries to 8 countries. That's why Kwacha is appreciating. We are now boasting of exporting cables from Chibombo, just somewhere closer here, to 9 countries. We are now making cholera vaccines in Zambia. We are moving towards manufacturing of medicine. And not Zambia, but Bloomberg has projected Zambia's economy to grow at 6%. Because activities are taking place. Our GDP then was negative 2.7. We have never been in negative from the time UPND took over leadership. So what we are grappling with as load shedding has a solution. That is why ZESCO, which was clearly incapacitated, now managed to clinch a deal with China Power to get 100 megawatts solar plant in Kariba North Bank, which will be erected. Another 100 in Kafue Gorge. Another 100 in Tstv. Another one, Chisamba, done already. So we are not joking. We are getting somewhere as a country. At least we can boast of having a leadership that is efficient in dealing with issues.
Mr. Simuuwe, as we conclude, unfortunately, we could go on and have this good conversation, but our time is what it is. As we conclude, what's your take as a party with the recent pronouncement, I believe, by the Minister of Information, where he stated, I think in Livingston recently, he stated that from his position, maybe PROs, information officers, are not doing enough to talk about the achievements of this administration.
That is correct, because this is something that we are doing for the first time in the country. So there are all those teething problems that are taking place. But we are trying to see how they can be helped. You need to understand that even civil servants, the first time that free education came in, they never thought it was going to work. Because their minds and brains were polluted by that inertia to accept progress. So we had to engage them in various vigorous workshops to make them understand the concept. And as we speak, even PROs, you find that this is a professional journalist. He has never been UPND. They have never even read the UPND manifesto. They don't know that the things that government is doing are in the UPND manifesto. So how will this particular PRO explain? So we want them to understand that, look, there is a document that informs policy, and this is a UPND manifesto. And when Zambians are judging UPND, they are using the UPND manifesto. So we have decided to codify the manifesto in the National Development Plan, so that when we have codified it, we can now achieve and speak to those things that we promised the people of Zambia. So when the Minister of Information, who happens to be party spokesperson as well, allude to the fact, it's an issue that I've raised before. But not all PROs again. Some PROs have been able to learn the art within a short period, and they are able to disseminate information, except they need to be capacitated. Moving from where you are seated to understanding the intention of the president and believing in the dream of the president. These are two different things.
Mr.
Yes,
Simuuwe, before we completely let you go, you recently traveled to China with Secretary General Batuke Imenda. Could you kindly explain to the people what was the purpose and the outcomes of this trip?
Thank you very much. First of all, we have what we call party-to-party relations. We were invited by the CPC, Communist Party of China, okay? Because the understanding is that policies are informed by political parties. When we say we shall have free education, it was not in government. It started with a political party. So the understanding is that bilateral, party-to-party relations can strengthen bilateral relations. And as you could hear the SG, he was speaking to the issues that were signed between President Xi Jinping and President HH. Number one, energy. Well, the clarion call made by the Secretary General was that let this be expedited because load shedding is choking Zambia. Can we have the 400 megawatts signed? We expedite the process. We have one already, 100 megawatts, which can cater for at least 50,000 households. But we need more because the deficit is there. And citizens are still feeling the pressure of load shedding. So we were speaking to those things. Secondly, a direct flight from China to here, taking advantage of another part in the MOU signed between President Chanda and Xi Jinping of relaxing visa conditions. If we can improve our tourism sector, we need to have a direct flight, okay, which will spur economic growth, because then Zambia is strategic as a hub. All these colleagues of ours, DRC, you've seen when going to many of these places, they come to Zambia. We have a direct flight. It means that we can have as many Chinese as possible flying to this country and vice versa for trade and investment. Many other things that were raised bordered on how we can strengthen our party-to-party relations through exchange of information and ideas, training of cadres. Some people are renowned cadres, they don't believe they can learn. Some part of the training, even training if you want, to do with artisanal programs which have already started. We realized we are at par. We are talking about artisanal training of Zambians. They are also saying we are willing to train some youths in various areas, carpentry and other things. So we are aligned. So the purpose of this trip is to strengthen our party-to-party relations. Remember that we were invited again by the African National Congress. I was there myself. We are invited again by the ruling party in DRC. I was there with the Secretary General. We are invited by party in Botswana. There's a new party there. You will see us soon engaging our counterparts. We were also visited by ZANU-PF twice. We had to reciprocate and visited with the Secretary General and took advantage of that to highlight specific issues so that we can strengthen our bilateral relations. So there is no disjoint between party manifesto and what you have in government as policy. That is the focus, is to ensure that there is a bridge. Then we can serve the people of Zambia better.
And on that note, we'll have to leave it at that. Mr. Simuuwe, many thanks for taking time to join us in Voice of the People this morning.
My pleasure.
Our guest this morning, Mr. Mark Simuuwe, the UPND Media Director. Until next time, good day.
Voice of the People, Monday to Friday from 8:40.